The coffee was still warm. His car keys were gone, but Michael Reed never made it to work that morning. It was a Tuesday in September when Sarah Reed woke up alone in their Portland home. Nothing seemed wrong at first. Her husband Michael always left early for his job at the engineering firm downtown. But when his boss called at 9 asking where he was, something cold settled in her chest. Michael had never missed work without calling, not once in 12 years. Sarah checked her phone. No messages, no missed calls. She walked through their quiet house in the suburbs, looking for some clue she might have missed. His wallet was gone. His phone was gone. The front door had been locked from the outside, just like every other morning. Everything appeared completely normal. Except Michael was nowhere to be found. She called the police that afternoon. They took a report, but explained that adults have the right to leave. They suggested marital problems. Sarah insisted that was impossible. They had just celebrated their anniversary 3 days before. They were planning a vacation to Cape Cod for the fall. Michael had kissed her forehead before she fell back asleep that morning. She remembered the smell of his cologne. Their daughter Emma was starting college in 2 weeks. Michael had already paid the tuition. He had spent the previous weekend helping her pack boxers. He was excited about driving her to campus together. None of this made sense. The first strange detail came from their neighbor, Dorothy Chun. She had been putting out her recycling at 6:15 that morning. She saw Michael get into his silver Honda Accord and back out of the driveway. But then Dorothy said something that made no sense. She said Michael sat in the car for almost 10 minutes, just sitting there. Not looking at his phone, not doing anything, just staring straight ahead through the windshield. Then he drove away, heading west. Away from his office, Dorothea remembered thinking it was odd. She almost went over to check if he was feeling sick, but then he drove off, and she went inside to make breakfast for her kids. Sarah checked their bank accounts. No unusual activity, no large withdrawals. His credit cards showed nothing. His phone went straight to voicemail, but the cell company confirmed it had been turned off at 6:42 that morning, somewhere near the Columbia River Gorge, 30 miles from their home, 40 miles from his office. There was no reason for Michael to be out there. Sarah had never known him to visit that area. They had talked about hiking there once, years ago, but never went. The location felt random, meaningless. Yet he had driven there deliberately that morning. His coworkers said he seemed fine the day before, maybe a little distracted during the afternoon meeting, but nothing alarming. His best friend, James, told police that Michael had seemed quieter than usual the past 2 weeks. When James asked if everything was okay, Michael just smiled and said he had a lot on his mind. He never explained what he meant. James mentioned that Michael had started taking longer lunch breaks. Sometimes he would come back with dirt on his shoes, mud on his jacket. When James joked about it, Michael changed the subject quickly. Too quickly, the police searched the area where his phone last pinged. They found nothing. No car, no signs of an accident. The roads out there wound through dense forests and steep cliffs. Search and rescue teams hiked the trails. They brought dogs. They found absolutely nothing. It was as if Michael had driven into the wilderness and simply ceased to exist. Sarah joined the searches on weekends. She walked those trails until her feet bled. She called his name until her voice gave out. Every rustle in the trees made her heart stop. Every distant sound felt like hope. But the forest kept its secrets. Sarah spent hours going through their home office. She opened every drawer, read every document, checked every file on his computer. Michael was meticulous about organization. Everything had a place. But then she found something that did not belong. Hidden behind a row of books on the shelf was a small notebook, the kind you could buy at any drugstore. Inside were pages of numbers, coordinates, dates going back 6 months. No explanations, just numbers and locations scattered across Oregon and Washington. Some entries had small notes beside them. Weather conditions, trail difficulty ratings, elevation markers. It looked like the journal of someone planning expeditions. But Michael had never mentioned hiking, never mentioned wanting to explore the wilderness. This was a side of him Sarah had never seen. She brought the notebook to the police. A detective named Torres took it seriously. He started running the coordinates. Most of them were remote areas. Forest Service roads, abandoned lookout points. Places where someone could go and not be seen. But why would Michael go to these places? And why would he hide the notebook? Detective Torres spent days cross-referencing the locations. He noticed something disturbing. Several of the coordinates matched areas where people had gone missing over the past decade. Hikers who never returned. Campers who vanished without explanation. Torres felt a chill run down his spine. Was Michael connected to these disappearances? Or was he searching for something else entirely? 3 weeks after Michael disappeared, a hiker found his car. It was parked at a trailhead near Mount Hood. Locked, empty. The keys were still in the ignition. His phone was on the passenger seat, turned off. A half-empty water bottle sat in the cup holder. There was no note, no sign of struggle. It looked like he had simply gotten out and walked away. His wallet was there too. Credit cards, driver's license. A photo of Sarah tucked behind them. Everything a person would need to return to their normal life. Left behind like they no longer mattered. Inside the glove compartment, police found a map. Several locations were marked with small red X symbols. The detective compared them to the coordinates in the notebook. They matched every single one. Whatever Michael had been doing, he had been planning it for months. The map showed a pattern. Each marked location formed a rough circle around the Mount Hood area, like he had been systematically searching a specific region. Looking for something. Or someone. Sarah hiked to one of the marked locations with Detective Torres. It was a clearing deep in the forest. At first, it seemed like nothing, just trees and moss and silence. But then Torres found something. Partially buried under leaves was a small metal box. Inside were documents, birth certificates, social security cards, all belonging to people Sarah had never heard of. 5 different identities. All with Michael's photos. The investigation expanded. Federal agents got involved. They discovered that Michael had been living another life, not another family, not another relationship. Something much stranger. For the past 8 months, Micah had been working as a volunteer for a private search and rescue organization. He had been going into the wilderness, looking for missing people, cases that had gone cold. People the system had forgotten about. He used vacation days, sick days, long lunch breaks. Every spare moment was dedicated to this secret mission that consumed him completely. The notebooks, the coordinates, the identities, they were all tools he used to access restricted areas and old case files. Michael had become obsessed after reading about a missing hiker who was never found. Someone he had never met. It started as curiosity and grew into something that consumed him. He spent every spare moment researching, planning expeditions, following leads the authorities had abandoned. But the question remained, why did he leave that morning and never come back? 2 months after Michael vanished, a group of climbers found human remains in a ravine near one of his marked locations. Dental records confirmed it was the missing hiker Michael had been searching for. The man had been missing for 4 years. His family finally had answers. Finally had closure. 3 days later, a park ranger discovered a campsite far off any marked trail. Inside a small tent was evidence that someone had been living there recently. A sleeping bag, canned food, and a journal that belonged to Michael. The final entry was dated the morning he disappeared. It read, "I found him. After all this time, I finally found him. But now I understand something I did not before. Some people leave because they need to. Not from their lives. Just from the weight of them. I spent months learning how to find the lost. Now I need to learn how to be found again. But not yet. Not until I am ready to explain what I cannot yet put into words. Tell Sarah I love her. Tell her I am not lost. I am just trying to find myself." Sarah sits on their back porch now, holding that journal. The investigation is still open. Michael is still missing. But she understands something the police do not. Her husband did not vanish without a trace. He left one on purpose, for her to find when she was ready. Some mornings, she swears she can still smell his cologne in the house. And she waits, because she knows Michael. And she knows he keeps his promises. He will come home when he is ready.